King Charles received what might have been an unexpected birthday present yesterday, a phone call from his estranged son, Harry. It's reportedly the first time they've spoken in 6 months, and a source said the King was happy to take the call. Also on his special day, the King and Queen had a busy day of engagements, including opening a new food waste project in Didcot, probably really after his own heart. Joining me in the studio, talkTV's royal editor, Sarah Hewson. I mean, he loves all that kind of thing, food waste, he'd love that.
Yeah, it absolutely brings together multiple strands of the royals' charitable work.
Yes.
The environment, food waste, homelessness, for example. So we're looking pictures here of the King and Queen at a food distribution centre just outside Oxford. It is the Coronation Food Project, which is the legacy project the King has set up and wanted to focus on his 75th birthday.
You have to say, what an important thing to be doing at this time with such a cost of living crisis and winter beginning to bite. Nice thing for the King to do on his birthday.
And you've got food waste and food need. And the idea is that you bring the two together. 10 million tonnes of food that goes to waste, 2/3 of that could still be edible. There are so many families that could benefit from that. And the King using his convening power to say, let's bring all of the organisations involved in this together and try and make a difference.
If anybody wonders what the monarchy is for, that's one excellent example.
It really is, yeah.
That power to bring people together, which is fantastic. So tell us about whatever we know or don't know about the phone call from Prince Harry to his father.
Yes, now it was a busy day yesterday. So the King out at the food distribution centre. Then there was a reception at Buckingham Palace for NHS workers. And we know that the King doesn't have a mobile phone. But during the day, we understand that he did manage to fit in a phone call from his son, Prince Harry. Now, that's the first meaningful contact that the pair have had for something like 6 months, yes. Vanessa. It has also been reported that the King spoke to his daughter-in-law, Meghan, and that Archie and Lilibet had recorded a happy birthday message for their grandfather. I mean, Lilibet he's only met on one occasion. Now, after the call, we understand that plans were made for another phone call within the next week or so. So this is being seen as an olive branch and potentially a thawing of relations.
It has to be a good thing. I can't believe anyone would think anything else. It has to be good to speak to your 75-year-old father on his birthday, and it has to be good to have another phone call in the pipeline. That's all better than nothing, isn't it? Much better, but still so little, isn't it, after all these years?
Yeah, and I think the fact that these phone calls have to be scheduled, it tells us this isn't a family that operates in a normal way. It was so many months since they'd had any proper contact, even at the coronation. There was no conversation between the two of them. Harry came in, went to Westminster Abbey, then flew back home again. But as soon as we've got this talk about an olive branch, we've also had an excerpt of a book released today by Omid Scobie. Now, this is coming out later on this month, Vanessa, called Endgame. And I think the excerpt that was published in People today just lays bare how big the chasm is between Harry and his family. And just in case
people aren't sure who Omid Scobie is, he's the journalist who is thought to have the ear and the voice of Harry and Meghan. He seems to be their favoured source of information.
Often described as Harry and Meghan's mouthpiece in the UK. He previously wrote the book Finding Freedom, and he has this new book, Endgame, which is about the fractures within the royal family and, as he calls it, the challenges for the monarchy in the modern world. Now, in the particular excerpt that's come out today, it details what happened around Prince Harry on the day of Queen Elizabeth's death. And it talks about his phone ringing in the morning, that he had no insight before that the royal family were preparing for the Queen's final hours, that he eventually took the call and it was his father who told him to get to Balmoral as soon as possible, and that Prince William was arranging transport with his uncles Andrew and Edward. Then the book claims that Harry tried to make contact with his brother William and any efforts to make contact were ignored. So he didn't manage to get on that flight because it was radio silence from his brother, according to the book. He eventually sorted his own transport. We know he's talked about it in Spare, but when he got there, it was too late and he found out on a news alert on his mobile phone that the Queen had died.
Gosh. Goodness me. I mean, had we suspected as much when, you know, he arrived in his own plane, and it did seem very, very lonely, and it seemed, you know, the whole family was uniting at this time, and Prince Andrew was enfolded by everybody, and everybody was kind of represented, and he was so far out on his own. Did we suspect that maybe nobody told him which flight to get on?
We We certainly knew from Spare that Harry was left to his own devices and got there late, and as he was coming into land, the plane had to circle because of bad weather. He received a message from Meghan saying, "Call me ASAP," and then he realised that his grandmother had died. In this excerpt from the book, it claims that there were discussions going on between the Sussex camp and Buckingham Palace, with the Sussex camp pleading with Buckingham Palace to delay the announcement so that Harry could be told by his father, but that they decided they couldn't wait any longer, went with that announcement at 6:30, and then Harry found out.
And finally, 1 minute we have left. Is Sarah Ferguson, Duchess of York, is she going to be on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here?
No, she says, very definitely. This was reported in the Sun newspaper today that there had been discussions going on between Sarah Ferguson and the I'm a Celebrity producers, who were desperate to get her. And my goodness, wouldn't she have made for fantastic viewing?
And actually, she's good fun.
She's great fun.
Very entertaining.
She'd have been great company in the jungle. And the hope was that she'd have some fantastic stories to tell. The report was that she didn't want to go in because she didn't want to talk about her former husband, Prince Andrew, and so they reached a stalemate. Her camp have come out today and said absolutely no discussions, no approach made, it was never going to happen.
OK, end of. No discussion. She won't be going.
She will not be joining Nigel Farage in the Australian jungle.
And Jamie Lynn Spears. What a shame. What a shame. Thank you so much.